Vitality is our ability to have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bliss. Some call it paradise. We call it a game.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So today we're talking about why Black women are seen as the 304s and the Thots, basically of Black culture and American culture. And this is sort of tied into the live stream that I did concerning Meek Mill's album cover, which you can check out that live stream right here. And I was talking more or less about the appearance value, basically, of Black women. And that's really been the uproar. Black women being depicted a certain way, according to that album cover. You know, they were depicted naked as strippers and things of that nature. And so there has been a lot of uproar about it. There have been a lot of Black women who didn't like it, who spoke out about it, who, was angry at Meek Mill about having that as his cover. And not only having it as his cover, but it was a wrap on like a tour bus or whatever. And it was basically displayed in a couple of different places in full. So, that sort of got me to thinking about the issue of clothing, modesty, how we come across as Black women. I also have a quick video to show, and then we're going to really talk about this situation. So let me share it, and then I'll be back with my perspective.
Everybody who knows me knows that this is something that I'm big on. I advocate that more women need to learn how to cover their asses instead of displaying everything for the world to see. Like, really, what happened to leaving things for the imagination? Anyways, I'm big on modesty, right? But what kills me is a lot of girls will comment on my posts and call me insecure for it. They'll say things like, oh, if you're too insecure to show your body, then just say that. If you're just too insecure, then just admit it. Insecure? You're the one walking around with your cleavage all out, your derriere all out for the entire world to see, and yet I'm insecure? Honey, I'm so insecure in myself, I don't need to walk around with all my assets displayed to feel confident about myself, okay? And that's on period.
Okay, so you guys heard that. And she was coming at it from whether you're secure or whether you're insecure or not. And which is a valid thing. But what I want to talk about is how Black women value one another. We value one another based on how good we look or how good we don't look. Like, for instance, I get talked about a lot, not only for what I say, but the veracity and the value of what I say is lowered based on two things: whether or not they think I have wealth and whether or not they think I'm pretty. And when I say they, I mean other Black women. Other Black women will try to dismiss what I'm saying on these videos when I'm trying to help out Black women, and they'll dismiss what I'm saying based on, well, you're not pretty. Well, you're ugly. You got a gap in your teeth, or you're covered up. So, and as if that really had an impact, whether or not other Black women thought I was pretty or not, had an impact on whether or not I'm speaking the truth on my platform. And I bring that up not as some sort of pity party for me, but I notice how Black women value or devalue one another based on sexual attraction or what they think is sexually attractive. So if you are a woman that presents herself as pretty, or other Black women would regard her as pretty, I guess she says more truth, or you're willing to listen to what she has to say. Because I get a lot of people say, well, what kind of man is you getting? You know, as if it matters. You know what I'm saying? What if my man come from, you know what I'm saying, Jupiter? And, you know, I only see him every, you know what I'm saying, 10 years or so. He fly down from Jupiter. You see what I'm saying? We spend a little time, he fly back. What difference does it make? But these are the valuations that we make upon each other. We value each other supposedly based on superficial things, such as whether or not the woman telling you specifically things you don't want to hear, whether or not she's attractive or not. And if she's not attractive according to whatever scale of attractiveness we're dealing with, then what she's saying is to be dismissed. And she herself is to be devalued. And we see each other like that. See, we see each other as sex objects. And that's the conversation that I don't think anybody really has. Black women see each other as sex objects. We do. We really treat each other like that. We don't have no value for one another if her sex appeal ain't a certain way. So a woman that presents herself modestly in this culture, in the culture that we created, is automatically seen as a woman who's ashamed of herself, a woman who doesn't have the confidence to show up in the world all but in a birthday suit. And somewhere along the line, Black women felt that it was some sort of empowerment, or it was some sort of badge of honor to be able to show up naked somewhere and have a bunch of people thirsting, quote unquote, thirsting after her or lusting after her or whatever. And that became Black women's value, whether or not we could be lusted after by men and women, whether or not we could be sexually desired. And that willingness to put ourselves out there as sex objects became synonymous with security and body positivity and women's power and all of that kind of foolishness. And this was nothing more. Again, this is another form of okie doke that Black women fell for, because in what culture has that really been so? Really? And it certainly really wasn't the culture you was raised up in, unless you like a Gen Z. But Gen X and above was not raised to assume that nakedness was anything other than an indicator of you being, you know what I'm saying, ready to bust it open. That's what you doing. You the bust down. When you show up a certain way, you a bust down. And everybody regards you that way. Everybody treats you that way. Everybody assumes that that's what's going on with you. And it ties into the Meek Mill situation, because Black women are upset that they're being depicted as whores. But you depict yourself as a whore and said it was empowerment. So now we have to come to Black women. Which one is it? Are we empowered when we naked? Or are we being degraded when we naked? Or does it depend on who made us naked? If we make ourselves naked, then we empowered. But if a man make us naked, we're being degraded. And that doesn't work. In the real world, that doesn't work. If you don't like being, quote unquote, degraded that way, then perhaps you should think about what your clothes say about you, because clothes is a communication. Right now, when people look at me, I'm communicating something to them. Whatever it may be, some people take offense to it. Other people see it as a positive thing. Other people are neutral about it. Other people are highly offended over it. Other people will dismiss me because of it. Other people will welcome what I'm saying because of it. I'm communicating a certain thing, but I know what I'm not communicating. When somebody looks at me, they're not looking at a person that's a bust down. Then you automatically on sight. Oh, Crimson Cure. Oh, yeah. She the neighborhood bust down. We don't pay her no mind because she ain't got nothing to say because she the neighborhood slore. And nobody cares what a slore thinks. Okay? Nobody care what she think because her job is to be on her knees or be on her back. That's her job. And Black women, we have made that our worth and value. Being on how we can be on our knees and how we can be on our back. That's why we celebrated WAP. W-A-P. Because we glorify in that. Yeah, girl, I got a WAP. You glorified in it. You glorified in telling the world, this is my worth. My worth is sexual. This is why when you come on sexually to a man that you want and he swerve you, you quick to say, what, you gay or something? Because he just dismissed your value in its entirety. You feel dismissed in your soul. Not just that he turned down sex, but that he turned you down as an individual because you putting your whole self in your sex. And Black women, we did that. We bought into the feminist sexual liberation. We can do this and we ain't supposed to be seen a certain way and down with the double standard and why men get to sleep around and they don't have a stigma attached. But if women sleep around, they get a stigma attached. You got a stigma. It is what it is. You're not going to change that. Nothing's going to change it. I don't care what you say. I don't care how many slut walks. I don't care how many slut shaming video or whatever it is that you do to try to combat that. That's not going anywhere. Because that is the way that Black women have spent the last couple of generations portraying themselves. We celebrated that stuff. We celebrated the Little Kims. We celebrated the Nicki Minaj's. We celebrate the Cardi B's and the Megan Thee Stallions and the City Girls and whatever other young lady gonna be up and coming that's gonna follow down that same road. We celebrate that. Black women just being nasty and then saying it's her being free and her being empowered. And then when the other shoe drops or when the other side of that becomes apparent, where people see that totally different than what we thought they were seeing it, then we want to be upset about how people see us and then how people treat us on the back of that. But your clothing, the way you present yourself, says so much about you. We assume so much when we see people on the street, how they dressed, how they present themselves. We assume a lot. If somebody's really, really dirty and pushing a cart and they stink real bad, what you assume? That they homeless. You assume they homeless. If you see a woman walking down the street and she has a nun habit on and nun clothes on, what do you assume? You assume she a nun. Similarly, you see a woman walking down the street and she ain't got hardly nothing on but a teeny weeny this and a teeny itty bitty that, you figure she for the streets. You see what I'm saying? So your clothing and how you present yourself has a lot to do with what you want people to know. This is what I'm trying to get Black women to open their eyes to. Stop thinking everybody hating. Are you hating? Ain't nobody hating. Secure women, women with class, don't show up with all of their everything hanging out because it ain't for everybody. Women with class is not for the streets. When you for the streets, you dress like you for the streets and you stay up in the streets. Women that's not for the streets don't dress like they for the streets and you don't find them always in the street either. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I need Black women to understand that's listening. It says so much. You can't get mad at naked depictions. You are a naked depiction. When you change your public image, then the public image will change. Not before. So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host of Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.